Greetings, I am Tom Earl. On this week's episode, we talk how to show up, be vulnerable, and grow your business with Adrian McGee, Alex M., and Alisha Kumar. Check it out. Woo! Nailed it. Greetings, I am Tom Earl. And this is my year of depth. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today, sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy, it means the world to me. I hope you know that in this moment, you are valued, you are loved, and you are appreciated just as you are. As you can see, holy smokes, I don't have one, I don't have two, I don't have 17. I have 3 amazing guests, perfectly symmetrical on the Zoom gallery. So hyped to have our guests today. We got Alex M., Alisha Kumar, and Adrian McGee in the house. How are you all doing today? Everybody doing well?
Doing great, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you all a chance to each introduce yourself in whatever way feels meaningful to you. And then we will kind of dive into this. So why don't we go, Alex, if you're feeling comfortable, why don't we start with you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Alex M. I'm a social media manager and copywriter. And where I am in my journey right now is helping small businesses in my area tell their story while I'm trying to figure out what mine is too. So that's where I am.
I love it. Well, welcome. We appreciate you so much,
Thank
Alex.
you.
Alisha, why don't you go next?
Yeah, I'm Alisha. I'm the founder of The Social Project. We are a social media marketing and digital marketing agency. We help business owners anywhere from small to medium sized show up online and get seen and get heard.
I love it. Adrian?
Awesome. Yeah, my name's Adrian McGee. I am a young professional as well as a serial entrepreneur. I am the founder of The Grind Season. It's a platform that really helps people find their purpose and build wealth. So a lot of content creation. I'm also a podcast host, The Grind Season podcast. And yeah, we just help people get better. That's our goal.
I love it. So I don't know if y'all are starting to see the theme here and why our guests are so awesome and why we thought y'all would be great working together. So now we got the formal practice bio out there. Let's jump in a little more personal. So here's your first prompt for you. If you really knew me, you would know that, or you would know ...
I drink way too much coffee and wear way too much leopard print.
I love it. Thanks, Alisha.
I'll go for it. If you know me, you would know I love working out and I love running. So that's kind of the personal things that I like to do.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Adrian.
If you really knew me, you would know I am painfully shy and have always been. And it is difficult for me to be in the spotlight, but I'm trying. Yeah.
I appreciate that, Alex. Thank you. So going to pause real quick. Alisha, am I saying your name correctly?
You are.
Okay. I had a moment of panic. Didn't want to be that guy. Okay. Time in. So I want to kind of jump off from where Alex just shared with us. What for you all in your entrepreneurial journey was something that has taken you outside of your comfort zone, or something that you have come up against with inside yourself that took some massaging or work, or insert word here, so that you could kind of move into bringing your dreams to life?
So I probably have 2 things. So the first is content creation. So I mentioned that The Grind Season is develops content, help people find their purpose, build wealth, and really get where they want to go in life. And so getting in front of that camera and recording was such a different experience. Like I was like, this sucks. Like I did probably my first run through. I probably did it about 30 times before I was finally comfortable. Like, hey, I could post this, so really like that initial step really made me kind of, I don't know, find myself kind of like, hey, just be yourself, like no matter what's going on, rather the camera's there, rather it's not. If I'm always my authentic self, then I will always present the person that I truly am. So that's probably been the one key thing. Another thing is I'm in a process of writing a book. And so I initially, when I first wrote the book, I took the easy route. I tried to write a short book that was probably about 45 pages. And then I sat back and said, you know what? I'm not putting my all in this. Like, let me go back. And I kind of started over, which sounds crazy, but I kind of started over, and I'm really digging inside like my stories to include in a book. So it is really making me kind of step out of my comfort zone to share a bit more than I probably normally would. But it's needed and it's necessary. And just writing a book in general, it sucks. It's just a horrible process. But it's just one of those things where you get it out the way and you have a book that's there for the rest of your life. So those are probably my key situations.
I love that. I think it kind of plays on the blood, sweat, and skills shirt. I guess the blood and the sweat is the book where you're sharing your skills, huh?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Well, thank you for that open honesty, Adrian. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Who would like to jump in next on that one?
I would say showing up in front of the camera as well. Just because I'm so behind the scenes working on clients' accounts and whatnot, it's so easy for me to kind of hide away and be like, oh, you know what? I don't have to show up on my end until we start launching programs and courses and my face is attached to it. And so I think that was coming out of my comfort zone. There was a bit of imposter syndrome as well that was mixed in there. So just constantly reminding myself that I know what I'm doing and I should be in the space just as much as everybody else should.
If I can ask before we jump to Alex, what led you to, I mean, that's a really bold conclusion. I should be in the space as much as everyone else. Can you go a little bit in on that for us?
Totally. So it actually kind of started, I went to this really large marketing conference down in San Diego a couple of years ago, and nobody in the room looked like me at all. That was an agency owner. And it almost made me question whether I was supposed to be there. And that's kind of where disrupting what the marketing industry looks like kind of started for me, because I know that there was a lot missing on those stages in terms of not only views from women, but also the BIPOC community in general, and what we bring to marketing as well, and how that all intertwines. And so that was probably like a huge moment for me, being like, okay, no, this is what they need. They need more people that look like everybody else. And we deserve to be in the crowd. We deserve to be on the stage, presenting and sharing. And so that was kind of like my light bulb moment of like, no, Alisha, you have to show up.
I love that. Thank you so much, Alisha, for sharing and then going deeper with us. I appreciate that.
It's interesting. Alisha, she used imposter syndrome. That is a huge, huge thing for me. I have a whole other Instagram page dedicated to my imposter syndrome and anxiety. I mean, to the point, it's so bad to the point that sometimes I just don't even post there because I'm like, they're not listening to me. What are we talking about? But definitely showing up, and actually saying who I am. I've been in business for myself since late 2018. In those first, I don't even want to say the first few months. I'll say probably the first year, it was hard for me to even say to somebody, I'm a social media manager, because it sounded fake to me. I knew it was an actual thing, but how dare I say that that's what I was? So I had to get comfortable with actually titling myself and owning that, and speaking as an authority in some way. If somebody asks me a question about something, answering it and being like, yeah, the answer that you gave was right, or it's correct, or it will work, or it'll benefit them, or at least guide them in the direction that they're trying to go. I think the other thing, and I actually lost my thought, but that's okay. But I think I'll stick with showing up. Showing up was hard. Like I said, I'm very shy, but I do prefer to just be behind the scenes. That's where I think I thrive. I've always wanted to be the person who was pressing the buttons. My mother worked in television when I was a child, so I was back there in the control rooms, and I loved that. And I've tried to recreate that the best I can in my little world here. I don't need to be the person on stage, but I know that it's important to step out from behind the curtain sometimes and say, hey, here I am, and this is what I'm doing.
I could be wrong, Adrian. I saw you nodding in affirmation on some of the things Alex was saying. Was there anything you wanted to affirm, exclamation mark, add on to?
Sorry, Tom. No, I don't have anything to add right now. So not right now.
No worries, my friend. No worries. So I wanted to first of all thank you all for right out the gate just going deep. One of the conversations that we like to have is kind of what Alisha touched upon is the importance of representation, especially in business development and agency life, where we're kind of sick of the like, hey, I'm a white guy, and so all the speakers at this event are also going to be white guys, but like we're translating 5 different languages, so we're so diverse. Like we're kind of sick of that whole movement. What for you is the conversation that we need to be having that kind of goes beyond just this past summer, everybody being like, diversity matters. How do we kind of go beyond just this lip service, surface level aspect of actually addressing this in the marketing world?
That's a great question. I think part of it is just allowing everyone to just be without, they definitely have a conversation about whatever it is the topic is. But if I'm telling you that this is my perspective and I understand that this is the best way that it may be received by this particular group of people, respect that I might have a better point of view on that. But also whoever it is that you're representing, all of my clients except for one are all either other Black people or people of color. And I think that very much just has something to do with the city that I'm in. That's just the way that it's worked out. But everyone is just trying to be seen as the profession that they are. They don't want to have to prove themselves beyond the education that they've gotten because other people don't have to. So I have one that is a doctor and she's just, I want my expertise, there goes that word. I want my expertise to speak for itself and I don't have to prove myself beyond that. So listen to what they are saying and, ask your questions, but don't question it because of what they look like, if that makes any sense.
I appreciate you starting us off, Alex.
Yeah, I think that kind of a good thing to add to that is it really takes acknowledgement, right? And I think that's always the first step before you can act on something is to acknowledge if a problem is there or the situation in general. And so I think the best way to go about that acknowledgement is through conversations, like not just, listening to what's on the news, not just seeing what you scroll on Facebook, but actual conversation that you can also put yourself into. Even if you're just listening, you're a part of the conversation, right? And so I think that as more of those conversations are being opened up, it allows people to acknowledge kind of tactical steps to do that are beneficial, not steps that you assume just from what you see, but actual steps like ask the people like, hey, what do you want? And so like over this past summer, I was fortunate to be at a corporation that had open ears around it, and it was like, it kind of sucked because it's like, wow, like why did it take this to happen for these conversations to happen? But looking at the good side of it, it did open those conversations. And I had direct conversations with like my vice president who reached out directly to me to get that perspective, to gain that acknowledgement. And it was a great conversation and it actually led to like steps that happened that actually benefited the organization. And so I think just those one-off conversations or group setting conversations allows for to get steps, because again, like we see all these things just from, I don't know, like products who are like, oh, we're going to change this product now and change the symbol of it. Like no one cares about that, like no one truly thinks that that's adding value in any way. And so, but if these companies were to go and have conversations with people like, hey, what would you like? Then you will probably get more beneficial steps that can really add value versus something that just looks and sounds good, So it's kind of my input on it.
And I appreciate that, Adrian. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with both Alex and Adrian, and a mix of those. So just not thinking that your work is done the moment that you start incorporating certain aspects of people of color within your marketing or whatever that looks like. It's actually having those conversations and being like, okay, how are we going to make sure this is sustained throughout? It's not just us checking off boxes to make sure that we did everything and being like, okay, great, this is done. We have this person on stage, but really diving into having those really important conversations of like, why did it take so long for this to happen? And recognizing that we belong on stages just as much as everybody else, or in marketing campaigns or influencer campaigns. So looking at everything across the board.
I appreciate that, Alisha. One thing that I heard us all kind of touch upon a little bit, and Adrian started the ball on this, was talking about money and wealth. How do we, either for yourself or for your clients, what have you found kind of around, money and wealth has so much baggage? I heard someone on a past podcast of ours use the term financial trauma, that because of the way money is moved to this country and exploitation and all these things, that there can be such a resistance to money and wealth. So I'm curious, as business owners, as folks who are trying to help other people make money, what have been kind of your reflections upon the mission part? Yes, but then the income part, the wealth generation part of the work that you do.
Tom, I'll be honest, I might need you to reframe that question a little bit. I'm kind of struggling with getting like a way to answer it, I think. I don't know if Alex or Alisha feels that way.
I think I understand what you're hearing or not hearing, but I do think I have an answer for the way that the question has been posed. The way that I've dealt with it, honestly, is to try and completely remove myself from that part altogether. I'm very clear with people that what I do is management and not marketing. And my mission is to help tell your story, is to help organize your story, tell it, and kind of polish what you look like on social media, because I don't want to be involved in or responsible for the money that is going in or going out. I don't want to. And I don't know if that, I never thought about that as a trauma response, but it actually is. I think it really is, now that my brain is kind of working on it. I just totally removed myself from the process. And, I see stocks from time to time where I go, well, maybe if you do this, you'll see an uptick here. But I'm just like, that's not my area. We can get somebody else to talk about that. And you guys talk about it. Go over there.
Did you want me to reframe, or did you want to jump in before I reframe, Alisha?
No, maybe a slight reframe. I'm still thinking about it as well.
Okay. So for most of us, and I could be wrong, like we all want to make the world a better place. We want to help people with their businesses, especially people who are doing good, right? We're not like, oh, you're a terrible company, let me help you do better of that. Okay. So that's that part. We're all good on the mission part. But then for ourselves, it's like, and I want to be a successful business, which means I need to make money. And if I'm paying people, I need to figure out what is the way I can pay that feels ethical, but I also still am profitable. And I think for those of us who are into the mission part, the money part can have baggage. And so I'm curious for yourself how you've kind of like Adrian, wealth is a part of your bio. You know what I mean? How do we all kind of work through that? I'm curious on your reflections, or maybe you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, Tom. I have no baggage about money.
I think I'm starting to get it. So pretty much the balance between, so let's say I want to make this real. Let's say I have a potential client and they're like, I have a mission to help people find their purpose and drive a successful business. And it's like, hey, I charge these prices for it. And they're like, oh, I can't really afford it. It's like, how do I convince myself, all right, maybe I could take less, in order for them to add value? Is that, am I reading that right?
Yeah. Or keep your prices, or not feel guilty when you charge your worth, or any of that kind of stuff. What's kind of been your journey on that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And that we could spend this entire time talking about it. But honestly, what I've learned is, and this is huge, I've discovered the power in investing in myself. And so it's kind of opened up opened up my mind to see why a course might cost $2,000. And it's like, like $2,000, like it's already pre-recorded. You don't even have to like doing it. Like, why are you charging $2,000? But I get it. And so typically if someone really wants something, they'll find a way to pay for it. And so if I'm running a business and I need a coach, and there's two things to consider. You get what you pay for. That's the first thing. And the second is if I really want it, and if I believe that it's going to bring value from this investment, then it's worth it. And so the way I look at it is the return on something. So I have to be confident at providing a service where if I charge someone $1,000, $2,000 for it, that they're going to get triple that back, or if they're going to be able to multiply their return from it. And if I'm very confident that I can do that for you, I'm going to be confident in kind of keeping that price to say, hey, look, trust me. Like if you really want this service I'm providing, then you got to figure out a way. And I know that because I've been in situations where, for example, I have a partner. My partner and I we're launching a semi truck. We bought a semi truck, so we're jumping in the freight industry. And in order to do that, we purchased a course that was $2,000. And I was like, that's a lot of money. But the return that I'm going to get from it is going to allow me not to make so many mistakes that would have cost me triple, quadruple that amount. And so by kind of realizing how much value you can get from investing in these type of things, you typically invest in something that has a high value, but you can expect to get a return that should warrant that investment. And it's just like college, right? We go to college and we pay $100,000, $150,000 for college. But how can I justify spending that much? Well, more than likely, I'm going to be doing something that I enjoy, from that education because I selected what I wanted to do. And two, I should expect to at least see a return of, 15 to 20,000 if I wasn't to go to college. That's just an example. I'm just kind of making something up. So the way that I do it is I just convince I have to be selling something that I am confident is worth that price. And if I have that confidence, then it allows me to feel comfortable with pretty much saying like, hey, you got to meet me at this price point. If not, I might provide other services where you can get value from it. Like if you go to my page, I give out a lot of free information. You might be able to get something there. But if you want one-on-one personal coaching, then it does kind of require an investment just because I have to value my time as well. So I don't know. That was a long-winded answer, but hopefully it got you what you needed.
It was awesome. I mean, there's just so much value in there. So we appreciate that, Adrian.
Yeah, definitely.
Alisha, you want to jump in, or Alex, you want to jump in on that?
I would say along with the value that you get, how much time you're saving as well. So when you do hire a coach or a marketing agency or social media management, you're saving so much time not doing those tasks, and you might not even enjoy those tasks. A lot of our clients come to us because they just don't like being on social media, but they know that, their business will thrive on there. And so how can they help, or how can we help them at the end of the day? And so they're saving time working on their business while we work in it for them. And so there's that to take into consideration as well. So a lot of money mindset shifting has to be done, not only on our end, but also making sure that our clients know the same as well. Like, hey, you're not only getting all this value with working with us or getting coaching, but you're saving so much time, because you can sit there and read all of my blogs, go through all of my posts, and manage social media on your own. But that time could have been spent elsewhere, making money in your business that you then in turn can pay us for.
Yeah. To put a part two to my answer, thinking about it for myself, the struggle that I had was definitely, how do I justify whatever price, it is that I'm charging for my services? And when I first started, sounds so dumb, 2 years later, almost 3 years later, but I was like, yeah, I can do this for about $180 a month. I would not have made it. I would be dying right now, literally. But I had to recognize the time exchange. My whole thing is picking up this piece of the job, because it is a full-time job. taking it off of my client's plate so that they can get back to running their business, because that is where the money's made. And that's where the money's going to come from, that they're going to be able to pay me with. But what does that look like in a day for me? Before we started, I was telling you all that I feel like, I'm just 24/7 sitting in front of my computer. And part of that is because I'm a little bit disorganized. If I could get on top of that, it would be better. But the other part is just because it takes a lot of time, depending on what's going on. A single post, can take 30 minutes to an hour to put together, depending on what elements you're trying to put in there. And I don't think most people recognize that that's how much effort can sometimes go into it. So if we're talking about 30 posts over a month, well, how much time did you spend just working on the content for this one client? And how much should you get paid for that? And it's difficult to ask for. I've gone, there's been many levels to what I've charged over the last couple of years. And I'm not sure that I've reached that point yet, but really recognizing what you're pouring into it really shows you what your value is to your client. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for working through that with me, all. Sorry that the question was a little ambiguous at first, but I feel like we got there. So that was fun. So Alisha, let's start with you on this one. So you are passionate about helping businesses take advantage of the latest and greatest digital marketing trends. And so I'm curious for you and for everybody else here, what's either, it's like, oh, everybody should use Clubhouse, or like specifically this tactic. What are you all kind of finding is something that's really working? And for you, maybe Alisha, what is kind of one of the new latest and greatest that you're using for yourself or for your clients?
Oh my gosh. So I've been using this since last year. I was raving about it since the beginning of last year, TikTok. It is so crazy how clients grow from TikTok. And there's so many places that you can direct people just because you have the link in your bio, and your video has such a long shelf life that you can go viral for video that you posted months ago tomorrow. So I personally am such a lover of TikTok. I think it's doing great things out there. Clubhouse is really interesting as well in terms of seeing how people are growing. I was in love with it when it first came out. Now I'm like, okay, I need my time back, and I can't see that many notifications pop up on my phone ever again. So I've kind of taken a step back from that. But TikTok has been super fun. And then, as always, I think all businesses should definitely be growing their email list regardless. So those are my faves.
Just before we move on, 2 follow-up questions. Let's say I'm thinking to myself, well, I help moms, organize their life and start a business from home. How am I going to, start dancing and sing a song and grow my business from doing that on TikTok?
You definitely don't have to be dancing or singing or doing any of those things. It's the same as doing any Instagram reel or Instagram stories. You take that and you kind of come through on TikTok and say, hey, these are 3 tips you need to get started for A, B, and C. And this is what it'll result in. And then you also then redirect them to follow along, not on TikTok, but also a bit of growth hacking and being like, follow me on Instagram. So, because I provide all this other stuff there, or sign up for my email list, the link in my bio. So yeah, you definitely don't have to be dancing on there. I personally do not want to be learning any type of dances anytime soon. So
it's just give advice, but add music to it.
Yeah, you can add music to it. There's a ton of people who are going viral for not adding any music. It's almost like jumping on, Instagram stories. And when you talk about something, you just do it in like a 15 to 60 second time crunch.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for starting us off, Alisha. Alex or Adrian, what are you finding working well in the marketing social media game for yourself or for your clients?
Truly leaning on authenticity. So not any particular, and just to look at it from a different angle, not any particular medium, so Instagram, Facebook, wherever you are, be authentic, because people can see through it when you're not. And I had a struggle with one particular client on this. We spent almost 2 years not being authentic. And, I had to say, look, we have to sit down and have real conversations at the end of each month going into the next one. What is it that you want to talk about? Because right now it's all coming from me, and I am not in this industry, and people can tell that whatever it is I'm feeding them, like, it's kind of generic, it's good, but what is it? And as soon as I started really being able to speak with her voice, engagement started going up, following. So, and it was just, this is what we were missing. So tell your story, be honest. And that can be scary. I recognize that. But that's how you connect to people, because they need to know that there's somebody, a real person on the other side of that Instagram post, whether it's a video, a photo, or whatever. They need to know there's a real person back there who's trying to help them with something, deliver something to them, or just talk to them.
Was there something you said to your client or you say to your clients that kind of unlocks that inner authenticity for them?
I really just ask them what's on their mind around the whatever the subject is. And we, just like this, the four of us are on here. It might be me and one other person, or me and a whole team. And I record it and I'm listening and I'm taking notes. And as questions come to me while they're speaking, I say, okay, we'll elaborate on this part. And I end up with, 10 pages of notes. And then I take that and I turn it into 30 days of content. So there might be a little bit of me inside some of those posts, so I can tie together whatever idea they were trying to convey. But I try not to get too structured with them, because then it's not natural. So just tell me what you're thinking about it.
I love that. That's awesome. Adrian, what about for you?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of following a mix of what Alisha and Alex said, because being authentic is like, you can't get away from that. Like you said, people are going to see it. And if you're your authentic self, what you'll find is people actually enjoy that more. Like it's just going to benefit you across the board by being authentic. Yeah, so I'm not using TikTok, but I need to, because what I'm learning is the value in repurposing content. And so what TikTok has allowed, it's allowed kind of people to use these short videos, like 30 seconds, 60 seconds. So I'm mostly on Instagram. So Reels is just like the new thing. Like if you aren't using Instagram Reels, you're definitely doing something wrong, because the way that a post can go viral, or just the views can just jump insanely in like the first 5 minutes of posting it, you're just missing out. And right now, Instagram is favoring. So you guys know, like Instagram is like the king of just taking over platforms. Like they did it to Vine. They're probably going to do it to Clubhouse, to be honest with you, because people don't like Clubhouse. I don't like Clubhouse anymore. I used to love Clubhouse. I don't like it anymore. It's just too much going on there. But Instagram is just really good at taking over platforms, and just like even thinking of IGTV, like that's kind of supposed to take over YouTube. Not saying it's going to happen, but that's kind of their way to go against YouTube. And finally, Reels are kind of their way of trying to take over TikTok. I don't think they're going to be able to, because TikTok has grown too much, but that's what they're trying to do. So right now they are favoring Reels heavily. Like if you post a Reel, your engagement and outreach will probably triple compared to if you were to post a normal post. So I've been taking advantage of that, and it's really helped my platform grow a lot. And what I've been able to do is leverage repurposed content. So all of my podcasts, I record all of it. But what I'll do is I'll take 30-second clips out of that podcast, and it'll make 5 to 6 pieces of content for me to leverage throughout the weeks. So, and that if you look at any big brand, if you look at any podcast, Gary Vee, he kind of started this. They're all doing it, like anyone. So if you're a business and you don't have a podcast, I think you should probably create one. Not even for the podcast itself, it's for the repurposed content that you can leverage as content on things like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of the other things. So that's what I've been doing. Really, I've been really big on just recording long-winded content, 10, 15 minutes, and just chopping it up. Same thing with photos. If you're doing like a photo shoot, bring 3 or 4 outfits, take 10 poses, you have like pictures for months worth of content. So just really figuring out how to bulk all your content in one, and just figure out how to piece it out throughout the months or the weeks or whatever. It really saves you a lot of time, which you guys probably know, Alisha and Alex, with social media. So
that's awesome. A lot of gems in there. Alisha, I feel like I saw you agreeing to some of those things. Was there something you want to give an exclamation mark to?
the content batching portion. It's such a game changer, and it'll save you so much time. So Adrian, yeah, hit it right on the head.
Adrian, let's just come back. So if I have a piece of content and I'm trying to decide, oh God, Reels, Instagram story, Instagram post, IGTV, how do I decide, okay, I should put this as a reel?
Yeah, if it can be 30 seconds, you need to make it a reel. Like if you have a 1 minute video and you figure out a way to make it 30 seconds or less, you should much rather use that than the 1 minute video. Like every expert will tell you that. IG does have kind of a formula that they kind of tell people. It's kind of hidden behind the realms, but I think they say post 2 to 3 reels a week. I think they say 1 IGTV, 2 to 3 posts a week. And then I think they say might do 1 post a week. I don't know. And then as far as stories, I think they say you should do like 5 stories a day, which I never do that. Like that's really hard, but I get it. So that's kind of the approach. But right now, the way that the algorithm is favoring reels right now, it's like you have to use it.
Okay. So if it's 30 seconds or less, put it on a reel.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like if it's 45 seconds, figure out a way to make it 30 seconds if you can.
Dropping gems. I appreciate you all. I'd love to hear, what's a story that comes to mind where it was a moment where you thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to have an agency. I want to be a social media manager. I want to start all that's going to go into these blood, sweat, and skills. Like, what was a story that comes to mind for y'all where you're like, yes, I want to do this? Could be recent, could be back in the day.
Can I go first?
Let's do it.
Mine was a little forced upon me. I was working in a call center, which I said I would never do. And I don't know how I ended up there, but I was working there. I think I'd been there maybe 5 months. And somewhere in that 5 months, a friend of mine said, hey, I have all this content I'm trying to share on Facebook and Instagram, but I really don't have time. Can you just on this day do this, and on this day do this, and this day do that? And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And it really took maybe 30 minutes of my day at the time, because it was just pick it up from wherever she had it, put it up on Facebook. At that 5 month mark at the job that I said would finally, okay, I can rise to the ranks. It'll, the story that they tell you how it's supposed to go. They announced layoffs, and I went immediately. I said, oh, okay, that's okay. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to turn this into an actual business. So we had to work another 3 to 5 months, something like that. And when it was over and they gave me my severance, I just dove headfirst into the social media management world. I had no idea what I was doing, had no idea how I was going to make it grow. But I said, I am working for me now. I'm building this on my own. I don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow, a year from now, or 10 years from now, but this is the world that I prefer to be in, because all of those things that I've been seeking have not found me over here. So yeah, it happened to me, but I'm grateful for that.
That's awesome. Appreciate that story. Thank you, Alex.
For me, it was content creation. So I was in a place where like I kept questioning the fact that I wasn't making money with it first. So I was like, you know what? Like I'm making all this content. Like I know I can make money, but it wasn't necessarily aligned with like the purpose that I was pursuing, which was to add value to people, help people discover their talents, their potential, and allow them to act on it. So, I thought about coaching, and I kept going back and forth on all these different ideas. And it started kind of getting in the way of the content because I was just going back and forth, didn't know what to do. And then for me, it was probably the outreach that I received from people. And so I kind of preach this all the time around the people around you will tell you what you should be doing. Like your gifts, the people around you tell you what you're good at doing. We just ignore it because it's like so natural. We don't think it's that great. But in reality, that's probably what we should be doing every single day. So for me, I started getting outreach from people like, hey, I love your content. Please keep it coming. And it was just like, it wasn't just 1 or 2 people. It was like a ton of people continuously keep going, keep going. So that kind of sparked it inside of me. It's like, all right, keep going with this. The money will come. Like, don't worry about the money. just keep pushing value, and then the money will come. And then that really led me to working on this book, because it's like, I'm creating content here. People believe what I'm talking about. I'm getting feedback. Like this morning, I just posted this on my Instagram. This morning, someone reached out and said, hey, I listened to your podcast and I put in my 2-week notice on my job because I'm ready to go be a full-time entrepreneur from your podcast. I said, whoa, okay. Like, appreciate it. And like those type of things are kind of the affirmation that I need to keep going. And so that's why I'm like, I gotta keep push through with this book, because if people are getting this value from 30-second videos I'm sharing or 20-minute podcasts, if I can put this all in a book, consolidate it, it's going to be even more impactful. So my story was real. So to answer your question, Tom, it really came down to listening to the people around me and helping me figure out, okay, what is it that I should be doing as a result of what people are telling me?
I love that. Listening. That's huge. Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate you.
Yep, of course.
I've always been in a marketing role for, I think it's been like 12 years now. And I didn't realize that I really enjoyed doing that anyways, because when I was younger, it was just kind of a job that I was doing from 9 to 5 and got to pay, my lifestyle and whatever else I was doing after work. And so it was, I think 2017, I was just finishing a contract for as a marketing and PR exec. And I was studying to go to law school, and I went to actually see Gary Vee. He was one of the speakers there. Didn't know anything about him. That was like my intro to him. And I remember walking out of that conference room just being like, I'm never working for anybody but myself. I don't know what this is going to look like. My partner at the time was an entrepreneur. So he had a business, but not an agency. And I just kind of started from there, and I started digging and figuring out what was online in terms of how to start an agency or how to get into social media marketing. And then it kind of snowballed from there. My parents as well, success didn't look like owning a business to them, because that's not the world that they grew up in. And so for them, they were like, well, if you don't become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever else in corporate, then you haven't, fulfilled what they want me to fulfill for them. And so, yeah, it was a whole thing at my house, but here we are, and they're super supportive now, and they somewhat get it. My dad thinks I build websites. I definitely don't, but yeah. So that was my turning point, was that conference.
I love that. That was awesome. Thank you, Alisha. So I have a few more questions for y'all. Before we jump into those, are there any questions that you want to drop into the space, either into the whole space or someone specific? You're like, I'm curious about this. Any questions or thoughts that y'all wanted to put to someone in particular or to the group?
I just don't know how Alisha saw Gary Vee and never realized it. It's Gary Vee.
I know. This is when he was up and coming in 2017. And so he just started a whole bunch of his stuff online. He was actually, he came and presented from New York as a hologram. It was so weird. I know, it was next level. Okay. So yeah, it was really, really good. But then I became obsessed with his books and following him, and I just absolutely love what he puts out there. So I know who he is now.
Fair enough.
Awesome. And any other questions or thoughts y'all wanted to put out before I got a couple more.
Alex and Adrian, can we be friends after this? This is what I love about the social media space, is that you get to connect with so many cool people everywhere. And so, yeah, that's my question to you guys.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So one thing I just wanted to ask, and then we'll jump into wrapping up a little bit here. What is it about Clubhouse that changed that it's no longer your jam? What was it that changed either within you or the app that made it go from this shiny thing? Because I'm hearing this a lot from people. I was obsessed with Clubhouse. Now I'm not. So I'm curious.
I will jump right into this. And so I think, honestly, it's a personal thing. So I think, Alex, you might have said it. I think, Alex, you said it. No, Alisha, you said it around the notifications and just all this stuff. Not even just that. For me, it was too much noise. There were so many topics you can get tied into. And I don't have the discipline to say hey, I am focused on starting a trucking company, so I'm only going to listen to Clubhouses around trucking, because some other topic will come up. And it's not entertainment, right? It's hey, start a 6-figure business. And it's oh, am I doing the right thing with trucking? And so I was suffering from shiny object syndrome, like hard. Like I was bouncing around from idea to idea. Like it just left me in a mess. And it was like, it was adding value, but it was adding value in too many different spaces for me. And so what I had to decide on was like, all right, let me focus on this one thing. And then when I started to focus on one thing, like one specific item, what I realized there weren't a lot of topics on Clubhouse about it. Like the thing is, there's a lot of topics on Clubhouse. It's a lot of things you could jump in, but when you focus on one thing, it's not as frequent as you would as it seemed. And what I realized was all of the noise and steps and the different perspectives, it had me going all over the place. And so when I got off of there, I took what I learned from it. I had pages of notes from it. But what I said was, I can't keep listening. I got to start doing. And that's what Clubhouse can put you in a situation of. It's not like a podcast where you can kind of select it and pause it when you want. It's like you get stuck in a conversation. There's never a time you can go back and listen to it. So you're like, I got to listen to all of this now. And I get so distracted from the work I'm supposed to be doing that I end up not doing anything. So that's why I don't think I've been on Clubhouse in over a month, like easily. So that's just how I kind of experienced it.
Thanks, Adrian.
For me, I never actually latched onto it. I loved the idea. And I downloaded it, said, okay, what's going on here? And what I liked about it was what I think a lot of us like about social media platforms when they first come out. Anyway, it's a very small community. And of course, if there are celebrities on there, you can almost like touch them. And this gave you the opportunity to speak directly to them. I didn't do that. I was just listening, but I thought it was cool. Like, oh, so-and-so's voice is coming through my phone, but it was, or it isn't as effortless as say Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, where you can do it on your own time. No, you are stuck to whatever time that conversation is happening. And like Adrian said, if you don't hear it now, you don't hear it at all. And it was just a lot of noise. I can't type captions about therapy and be listening to a podcast about, not a podcast, a Clubhouse about dogs over here. My brain cannot reconcile all of that information at the same time. So I would find myself just turning it off to the point that I just never went back to it. And now I'm just going to delete it because it's taking up space on my phone. But it doesn't allow you to do it on your own time. You have to do it on the time of somebody else. And that just doesn't work for me.
It's kind of chaotic too on Clubhouse. There's so many people trying to speak at one time, or somebody telling you how they're just driving at the moment because they have to pick up their kid from their soccer practice because that's the only time. It's just like this long-winded story that they give you, and they're like, and here's my tip for Instagram. So it's a lot of reiteration of a lot of things. So that's what I found. I do sometimes love like the non-business or entrepreneurial podcasts, or not podcasts, Clubhouse rooms that they have. So sometimes they have like really fun dating story ones or stuff like that. That's really just not business related. But I did miss podcasts. I forgot how much I love podcasts and the structure of podcasts and just being able to follow along as opposed to kind of being like all over the place during a conversation. So that's why I kind of distanced myself from it.
Yeah, I had kind of felt like, oh, it's when it's done well, it's like a podcast that you can actually talk to the host on. That was kind of like my initial thing. I feel like each platform has its own personality. I hate LinkedIn because when I connect with people on LinkedIn, they want to treat it like, let's get coffee. So they'll book a sales call and then they're like, so tell me about you. Well, this is about me. I'm like, this is a waste of my time. Like, I do not need to know your brother who might be a good fit. Like, this is not a sales call. And I found that on Clubhouse, Adrian, you might have hit on something. People were so scattered. Like they would be like, they'd book a call with me and then they'd be like, oh, I triple booked you. Or they'd be like, come speak on my Clubhouse. And then I'd follow up and be like, hey, are we still on for Thursday? Like I got everything set up. They're like, oh, I double booked. And I just was finding that people were just, maybe because of the shiny object syndrome, there was so much like double booking, or I'd book people as podcast guests from Clubhouse and they just wouldn't show up. And I was like, what is going on with this Clubhouse world of the disorganization? So that kind of turned me off.
To add to that, I think for a lot of people, because, you know, we've seen just the explosion of social media celebrities, you know, people have found themselves on these platforms, and it was like, oh, here's another one, and it's blowing up, and everyone was trying to become that person. They wanted to be the go-to whoever about whatever. And that's where you start to run into the double, triple booking, the not showing up, the whatever, just overall flakiness, because they are people who are, and no offense to any of them, but you're not actually dedicated to whatever it is you're trying to do. You just wanted the attention and the notoriety or the whatever, but not recognizing how much work actually goes in to becoming that person. These people are day in, day out playing these characters or doing whatever homework and research to bring you this 30 to 60 seconds that you just love and you want to share with all your friends. It's a job. And I don't think people were ready for the job and the work part of it.
Damn, that was deep. That brings up for me, just this is not a shameless self-promotion or like, I'm special. It's not this. Okay. So I have had the opportunity to be in 3 viral videos that have like 10, 15, 20 million views on BuzzFeed and stuff. Let me tell y'all, it does not change your life even this much at all. Like, instead, me forming a deep relationship with a Facebook group of like 30 people that I go in way deep, that has made me like $200,000. So like, always go deep, relationship first rather than, look at me, I'm so cool, 20 million views. So I had to put that out there, Alex, since you brought that up. All right, y'all. Anything else anything coming up for y'all? Questions before I go into we're going to start wrapping up here. But wanted to give y'all a chance if there's any questions, thoughts, anything you wanted to put out before we go into starting to go into our closing rituals.
Hey, Tom, just to add to what you said around like the, small setting of 30 people versus like millions. I think everyone should read a book. It's called like Superfan. I think it's called Superfan, and it just teaches you as a business how it's much better to create kind of these super fans, like these one-on-one relationships, than to have 20,000 followers, because the super fans, they add so much value because one, they're actually making purchases. They're actually, actually spending money with you. And second, they have such kind of a deep, it creates kind of this deeper relationship, and you could learn so much from these super fans. So it's a book out there that someone told me to read, and it really adjusted my whole thought of like, hey, I need to build as many followers as I can, to like, hey, I need to build meaningful relationships with the followers that I have now, and it'll add more value. So I just wanted to add that in there.
I love that. Thank you, Adrian. So for the folks who are listening and saying to themselves, I want to have y'all run my stuff, I want you to be my agency, I want you to run my social media, I want to buy your book, this is the part of the interview where you put on your shameless self-promotion hat. So I want you to shamelessly promote yourself, websites, books, buying from you, anything. This is the time where it's time to do that. So who would like to start off with the shameless self-promotion? Y'all are so humble. All right, we're gonna put you in order that you show up on my screen. We're gonna go Adrian, Alisha, Alex. So Adrian, shamelessly self-promote. We are ready and excited for it.
I seriously hate this part, but I got it. Honestly, I will say follow my Instagram. Like, my Instagram is where I probably put my most efforts into. Like, I try to stick to that rule of posting every day. And I can almost bet you that if you follow me, if you are watching my page, you will gain some sort of value every day that I post. Like, I'm so confident in that. And I'm very confident in this book that I'm releasing. Like, I've never poured so much effort into something and really have confidence to sell it. Like, how you could want to sell something, but you're not that confident in it. So you're not really pushing people to buy it like a real salesman is supposed to do. But this is the first time where I'm probably going to release something and I'm going to stick it in people's faces. Like, listen, this thing will change your life if you buy it, So I'm just going to put that out there that this book that I'm writing, and hopefully I should be done with it in the next month or so. I'll say 2 months to play it safe, but I'll say my book. Like, you guys have to look out for it. So follow my IG and be on the lookout for it. Like, I am so confident in this thing. So that's going to be how I self-promote myself here.
We love it, Adrian. We are shining it with you. The book is going to be awesome. I can second that. Adrian's Instagram is awesome. Anytime you come on my feed, my thumb stops scrolling, sound on, and I'm like, yes. So I can't wait to read the book. So Adrian, thank you so much. Y'all follow Adrian 100% for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. It's good to know you enjoy it too. So 100%. I didn't lie to the people in the audience.
You did not. He's telling the truth. Alisha, shameless self-promote.
This part always makes me awkward as well. You can come find me on Instagram, either my personal at Alisha Kumar or at the Social Project Inc. We're always giving away a ton of tips. We'll show you the ins and outs of social media, help you however I can. And I also just love connecting in the DMs with other business owners and just individuals, connecting, relationships. That's all my jam. So either one, I'm open.
That's awesome. So y'all, there's a lot of folks out there who say that they're going to help you with the latest and greatest digital marketing trends. And sure, they might know the gadget and the button to push, but you can Google what gadget and button to push. But what to say when you push that button in a way that emotionally impacts people, but also does it in a way that's in line with your values? Alisha and her agency, hit them up. I'm telling you right now, that's going to be my suggestion to y'all, is go ahead and hit Alisha up. Follow her. She obviously responds to DMs or she wouldn't be here on the show, right? You can't get more random of a DM than, hi, I'm Tom. Will you be on my podcast? And here she is. So go ahead, follow her, DM her, and see if her agency is a great fit for you. I have a feeling it's going to be. So Alisha, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And y'all go follow Alisha. So here we go. Alex. Shameless self-promote.
Hi. You can follow me. I'll say follow me on Instagram at Published by Alex. It's published past tense by Alex. And challenge me to show up. My whole thing is your presence matters. And with my clients, I'm very much like, do as I say, not as I do, because I can never really, like I said, I'm trying to figure out my story, and I have started and stopped 1,000 times. So you will see me going through my struggles, but hopefully that just inspires you to keep going, because it's a journey. You won't get it right the first time. I can't even help you get it right the first time, but you're just figuring out and working out the kinks as you go. So please follow me there. We can have whatever conversations you like. If you'd like to stress out with me, you can follow my other page, The Fraud Life. That is my whole imposter syndrome thing going over there. But you'll learn something about storytelling, how to structure your captions, how to use hashtags and, location tags, all of that to make your Instagram post as dynamic as possible. So yes, please follow me there.
Yes, indeed. Y'all, for me personally, the kind of person that I want advice on my social media from is somebody who is going to openly and honestly talk about deep things like imposter syndrome and storytelling and being self-reflective and going outside my comfort zone. And so you get all of that and more when you follow Alex. Not only that, I don't know if you heard, but all you got to do is show up on Zoom, ramble, not even coherently, just ramble for 15 minutes. I don't know if you heard that. Boom, you got 30 days of not just content, but authentic content. So Alex is where you need to go. Y'all, just this episode alone, you got your business set for the next year. So y'all have been so awesome. This has been absolutely such an amazing time. I hope that you want to be friends too. If I can be included in the friend circle, y'all will keep me in the WhatsApp group chat. Maybe. Okay. You can have a separate one being like, wasn't that question weird from Tom? No, Tom, it was awesome. That's cool. That could happen too. But this was such a blast. So want to start and end from that place of gratitude. So thank you, Alex. Thank you, Alisha. Thank you, Adrian. This was a blast. And to those listening, get at them and let them know how much y'all appreciated this. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Here comes our closing ritual, is for you to share with the good folks listening or watching. What would you like to invite them to do, to be, to consider, to evolve into, to read, to reflect upon? What is your invitation?
So I just posted a video yesterday about this. And it's really just I just reproduced it from a podcast that I recorded, but defining your vision. So I'll leave off with that. People are doing a lot of work. I see people who are really like just getting after it. But the issue that I'm seeing constantly is people are not sitting back and trying to figure out what they want to achieve. People are not sitting back and reflecting on, what do I really want to go in life? And what do I want my life to look like 3 to 4 years from now? And it's such a simple task that so many people overlook it, but it completely changes everything that you do once you sit back and figure out what you want and who you want to be years down the road. So my closing, I say, action item for everyone is to really sit down and reflect and write it down. Like, where do you want to be in life in 2 years, in 3 years? And like, look at it and get excited about it. Like, if it's something that you can't get excited about, then it's probably not worth writing down. So write down something, get excited about it, and start moving in a way where you could bring it to life. But the mistake that most people make is they don't sit down and figure out where they want to go. So that is my ask of everyone. Like, figure out what you want to do, who you want to be, and where you want to go.
Yes, indeed. Awesome invitation. Thanks, Adrian. Alex, Alisha, who would like to go next?
I invite you to be happy from everything that you do in your work, people that you surround yourself with, anything that you consume. Make sure that it brings you happiness. And yeah, I feel like that's the end goal of life, is to be happy. So that is what I'm inviting you to do.
Yes, indeed. Reminds me of Miss Third Ward. What is your aspiration? To be happy. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? No Beyonce fans? Okay.
That one got past me. I'm sorry.
Blushing face. Let's move on. He went for it, and now he's blushing. All good. Red face. Okay. Alex, you're up. Alisha, that was awesome.
I invite you to be vulnerable. There's something about your business that is you, and don't hide that. Tell that story, share that part, because that is what is going to bring people in. They will connect with that part. They will connect with you, and then therefore connect with the business. So don't be afraid of vulnerability. It's scary, but it helps, and it helps you grow. It helps your business grow, and ultimately will help others grow. You know, even if you're selling coffee, you will touch someone's heart with your coffee. So be vulnerable.
I love that. Awesome invitations to end on. Y'all, once again, thank you so much for sharing your gifts and your energy and your stories with us. We appreciate the heck out of each and every one of you. And to all of those listening, as always, we're wishing you peace and blessings. Thank you. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.